All right, guys, we have another limited edition ball watch. This time, this is the Ball Doolittle Raiders. Also comes with this little die cast thing. It's not really little, it's pretty big. And it's actually pretty heavy. It's like legit cast metal. Pretty cool. It's a B-25 bomber, I think. And the Doolittle Raid, also known as the Tokyo Raid, I think is what it's called, was the first retaliatory raid that the U.S. did in World War II on Japan mainland. And although it didn't cause like a massive amount of damage or anything on the raid, it was more of a show of force in the sense that it proved to Japan that they were that the U.S. was able to get to them with air support. So they launched these planes. It was a crew of 5 on those planes. And they launched them from an aircraft carrier, did their bombing mission, and then actually kept going and landed in China for refueling and everything like that. So pretty interesting mission. If you research it, just search Doolittle Raid and you'll find all the information you want to do. So that was their call sign and everything. It's actually right on the dial. It's on the plane, the die-cast plane and everything. Pretty cool. That happened in April 18 of 1942. So I don't know. I like World War II history, so this one was actually pretty cool to get and handle. Anyway, let's get back to the watch. So, big thanks to Exquisite and the crew down there in Naples, Florida, Exquisite Timepieces for sending this over, which was a massive, massive box because it houses this watch and, of course, that casted B-25 bomber. So, yeah, has to be pretty big packaging. Here's the hang tag. If you want the part number, I'll also put a link down below in the description so you can click directly to Exquisite's Timepieces website. There's the green dial, which is my preference on this particular one, and then there's a black dial one as well. Really cool thing about this, manual wind. Most of the ball watches are automatic, so it's really cool to have a manual wind movement in this, you know, as it pays tribute 80th anniversary. April 18, 1942, right on the crystal in the back. And ball watch has been around since like the late 1800s. They were making pocket watches and everything. So kind of all really ties together. Pretty cool. So let's get into the dimensions here. This is, you know what, I'm going to zoom in. I did this on the last one too. I'm going to zoom in as I'm talking about this so you get the zoomed in look. I'll try to hold it as still as possible. And I will give the dimensions. So case width, 45.5 millimeter. The lug to lug is a pretty long 53.5 millimeter. Thickness only 12 millimeter, so it's going to kind of flatten out on wrist. Whether you like large watches or you have a larger wrist, this one will work. But even if you have like my wrist size, 7¼ inch, this one's going to work just because of the thinness of it. It's going to balance out on wrist. It'll flatten right out. Lug width 22 millimeter, nothing weird there as ball typically does. You have a nice standard lug width here. And you have an 8 millimeter, very ornate looking crown. It is not a screw down crown because this is, like I said, manual wind. So you're just going to wind it in that first position. Of course, pop it out. Does not hack the seconds hand, which is running seconds over at the 9 o'clock position, but you can adjust the hour and minute hand here very easily. The movement inside is called the RR2102, 17 joules. So I'm guessing it has nice decorations and blue screws and everything like that. I tried to find out exactly what movement it is, but it's hard to see. So I'm not super familiar with a lot of these manual wind ones. You guys are. I know a few of you guys that are watching this are. So why don't you chime off down in the comments what you think the RR2102 is from, because it is the 17 joule. I mean, it's used in a ton of different watches, but I know there's different variations of it, and obviously Ball got their hands on it and made it more ornate and everything. I don't know if I've ever really actually seen that particular pattern on these bridges, so pretty cool. Tons of labeling on the back here. Very interesting to see a manual wind watch paying tribute to World War II using tritium tubes. Because I think did the watches back then use tritium for lume? I can't remember if they did or not. But it's really cool to see a more like historical type watch, but using, tritium tubes. Pretty cool. Very legible. You have a nice applied wing logo there down at the 6 o'clock position. Of course, you have the Doolittle logo call sign there off to the 3 o'clock position. And just a beautiful green. Nice high polished watch. Nice leather strap. I did notice these are a little sharp. I'd almost be tempted to take these apart and just kind of sand and soften the edges on those. I don't know if I'll feel them on wrist. Let me pop them on wrist right now and see. I gotta be careful. These are brand new watches. I try not to get too rough with them or anything. That I have really nice hardware. I mean, so far I don't feel it. Price point on this was $23.99, so $2,400. Yeah, I don't feel it. So maybe it's not an issue. I brought it up, but maybe it's not an issue. But when I clicked on the Exquisite website, they have it marked down to $21.59. So already a price reduction right out of the gate. That's always nice to have that sale on there and everything like that. So definitely let Nick or anybody at Exquisite know that you got to their website or their store via my channel. I really appreciate that, and it's a good way for them to track that this relationship is working. So looks like we have orange at the 12 o'clock, and you have green on the markers, and we will see what color is actually on the hour and minute hand. Yeah, we can see that. It looks like we have an orange minute and a greenish on the... There we go. It just looks white, I guess. It's weird because they do those tritium tubes like in those markers, and it almost looks like they're backlit. But then on the hour and minute hand, they just have the micro tubes. So they look insufficient compared to the markers. But once your eyes adjust to the low light in the room, it's clearly legible. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.